All right, so Thursday, we're going to probably start into Illustrator. And of course, we can go through Photoshop questions and things you might have. But we're going to start to slowly move out of Photoshop into Illustrator next. So if you haven't downloaded Illustrator to your computer, please do. And today we're going to be working with two photographs. Initially, one is this little balloon, and then the other is just kind of a picture. Obviously needs some cleanup, got some dust on there and specks, but we're gonna work with that a little bit today too. So feel free to download those as we're going here. All right, and we'll reference those two photos later. So 9 and 10 on the website. And as was promised, here are the class from last week. I think technology is getting back to normal here. We'll see. So at the end of last class, I think Aaron asked about brushes. So let me spend a little time talking about brushes, and we'll do a little more other Photoshop and some type and stuff like that, just to make sure you guys are good. And then we'll get into, as I said, Illustrator on Thursday. Let's start that up. Okay. Everybody have a good weekend? Good? Pretty good? Relatively? You know, hey, it could have been worse, right? It could have been snowing and cold, and could have been in Texas without electricity and water. And
Busy weekend.
yeah, right. So overall, it was a good weekend because we had power. And what is it, like 80 today? Something crazy. Let me
Yeah,
see.
getting warmer.
Something nuts out there. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're looking at 79 here out in beautiful Yorba Linda at this point. All right. So let me get into a little Photoshop and what I'm going to do. So the idea of brushes came up, how to make brushes, what are they, all of that. So I want to kind of go through brushes real quick, and we will, let me go through what's already in there. Yeah. Readjust my laptop desktop. If you have any questions, just shout them out or chat them out, type of thing. So let me just start with what you guys should have. Probably, again, it's hard for me to tell because I've got other things loaded on my computer. But you do have brushes, okay? And to look at your brushes, there is a pop-out window. And if you don't see the little tab, it's going to be up top here. Under Windows, and you can do the brushes, okay? So when we click our brushes, which is here typically, we'll get this kind of window up here, right? And this is where we can adjust our size. Again, we can use our brackets left and right to adjust the size. And then we have the hardness. Again, 0 is a soft, edgy brush. 100 is going to be a crisper brush. And then we've got, probably you've had some of these loaded up. And again, you can look, this scaling lets you see how big they, or see what they look like in more detail. That's what this does. So you have a series of brushes that are probably preloaded in there. And again, I can't tell you, but it gets so many brushes and it's hard to rework them all. And then you can also load brushes. Okay, so you can import brushes. You can get, you can just Google Photoshop brushes, and you're going to get sites that have them for free, or maybe you have to give them your email address or something like that. But you can bring in new brushes, and then Photoshop has some with the Creative Cloud that I believe are also available. So I'm just going to pick a brush in random here, just to kind of go through with the interface of brushes, so you get that, and then we'll go from there. So this is the soft round brush, and if I just paint, I'm going to get that kind of soft, fuzzy, hazy kind of color. Now, if I go out here on the brushes and go to brush settings, okay, this is where I'm able to make some changes. So right now, um, the shape of the brush has been predefined as this glow, but I can do things like add jitter, and that's going to kind of, and it gives you a little preview down here as to kind of what that looks like. Um, and then you could change like the jitter angle and the jitter round. And basically what we're doing is kind of mixing it up. So think of jitter as adding in uh, different ways of it showing. Okay, so it's going to basically work this. So I'm going to, here's a difference here. It's kind of hard to see. It's such a small brush. Let me make it bigger. So it's adding different kind of ways that that's working. And let me go to a hard brush. Maybe that'll be easier to see. So there you can kind of see it popping up, and it's adding. So instead of, if I had the jitter turned off, it's just going to be kind of a smooth line. Or with the jitter on, you see it kind of jumping back and forth. It's basically changing the size a little bit as it's painting. Okay. So our brushes are editable, not just up here where we have the size and hardness, but you can also open up the brush settings. Again, that's a separate window here, brush settings, and be able to change them. So that's the shape. We go down to scatter, and that's going to like move it around. So you can see it's going to paint as we go all around. So it's no longer painting in a straight line, it's adding specks throughout. Let me add a new layer, keep building on it. Okay, so that's the scatter. And then if you do both axes, it's going to scatter in other directions. So these are all ways that we can start to adjust our paintbrushes. Texture, there are some built-in textures in Photoshop that you can add in. So it's not just going to paint, it should be adding this texture to it. It's not really working that too much there. Color, so you can have it go between two different colors. So let me give it a second background color. Do a blue so you can see the difference. And I'm going to paint, and you can see it's painting between red and blue now. Okay. So again, the brushes are quite adaptable as to what you want to do. Um, and if you just turn it off, it's going to take it back to the default. And you can add noise, wet edge, give it a kind of a soft cool edge. It's going soft painting in there with that. The smoothing is going to smooth out the edges a little bit. So that's, I always kind of leave that one turned on. But I guess here's probably the biggest thing is where we're going to kind of adjust the edging of the brush, okay, with the kind of the shape control. So again, these are all built-in brushes. And again, you're going to have a bunch built in. And you're going to see, I don't know, I have a lot that are just kind of put in over time that do other things. I don't know, I'm not a big brush person, but you know, I do work with them at times. For shading or shadowing potentially. And again, if you're a quote artist, I don't want to call you an artist, but if you have a tablet, you know, or even an iPad at this point, the iPad Pros and so forth, you're able to kind of draw on the screen. So, you know, if you have that artistic skill, I think it's definitely a way you can do it. And a lot of people just literally paint on here, okay, because Photoshop is kind of a, because it's a pixel-based item, you can paint a lot easier than say, you know, maybe an Illustrator. Okay, it really gives you a lot of ways of blending and modeling. So a lot of people end up painting in here again, with their tablets and such. Okay, like I said, I'm not a huge painter, but I do at times as needed. So I've got brushes, and then again, I can't even tell you what I use half of them for. Let me just make a new layer here. These are some other ones that are like paper edges. So if you want to edge on something, so these are ones I've saved up from somewhere to kind of add. So you can kind of edge them, and you can also change them. So when we get into the brush settings, let me get into the shape here. 1 second. And you can combine brushes, which we don't really do, but I'm just looking for the one I'm looking for. And this was pressure sensitive, so you can deal with the sensitivity here on that. Boom, let me get this up here. Okay, so up here, you can see there's a little, we'll call it a globe, right? And what it lets you do is change this position of the brush. Okay, so right now, when it preset, it was diagonal or horizontal, but when it vertically, I can push it up here, and you can see now it's going a vertical. Likewise, I can turn it the other direction to go more horizontal, or I can do any kind of angle in between. Okay, so the brush, especially when something like this is a very horizontal brush, you're able to move and turn them to get the kind of look that you want. Let's say you have 2 people want to come in. Okay. I don't know why this thing doesn't auto let you guys in. And I don't think I can reset it this semester. I screwed up something in the beginning. Oops. Trying to find a happy place for this damn thing. I need a bigger screen. Anybody wants to give me a bigger screen, tell me. All right. So the brushes, again, aren't just kind of set the way they are, the ones that are kind of built in. You're able to do a lot of adjustments with them. And again, these are all of the adjustable things along with the direction of that brush. Okay, so you can, change it up vertically or horizontally. Now, again, it doesn't make a big difference with a round brush, but when you have a brush that's a shape, that makes a big difference. Okay, so think about that as a way of kind of doing that as you start to go. Now, the question was, how do we make a brush? Okay, so these are built in, but let's say you want to make a paintbrush. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to do a leaf first, and then we're going to go into actually the balloon. But I just downloaded this leaf from the internet, and it's a dogwood leaf. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to first, to make a paintbrush, you have to have black and white, right? So I'm going to convert this to grayscale mode. So it came in RGB. So the first thing I want to do if I want to make a brush out of this particular leaf is to make it grayscale. And you want to make it grayscale? Yes. So now it's grayscale. Now I can adjust it to be more black or more white in here, but just know that it will give you that kind of grayscale look with the paintbrush. Brushes don't need to be completely black or completely white, but we can. But what I want to do first before I convert this to a brush is get rid of this kind of extra pixels, kind of like somebody scanned it or there's a shadow going on. So I'm just going to use the magic wand and just select. Now I got most of it, but there's still some spaces here. So I'm going to hold the shift key and add to it. And I'm just kind of clicking with the shift key to get rid of those extra pixels or grayscale that's happening. And that looks pretty decent. And then I can just hit delete. Okay. Make a new layer. Next, let me just duplicate that layer. That's the easiest. And then hit delete. And we can see that this is going to be the transparency or the area that's not part of the brush. And this is going to be the brush itself, is the leaf. Now I might want to bump the contrast, brightness contrast. I'm going to go to edit and brightness contrast. And I'm just going to kind of push it a little bit and see. And I might want to darken it a little bit so I can get that. And if I want it completely black, I pretty much can. I can just kind of make it almost a silhouette. But we're going to give it a little bit of the texture going on in there. So that was before and this is after. And I'm good with that. So I'm going to just click OK. So I have a leaf, black and white. Okay, there's, okay, with the background. Here it is without the background. And then I'm going to go to edit and then define brush preset. So this is where I'm taking my black and white item. And again, it could be anything. It could be ink that you drop on a piece of paper or watercolor. It can be a photograph. It could be your face. Anything you want can become a paintbrush. Okay, so you're not limited to just solid things or things that we would think of as a paintbrush. We can use our face to do that. So define brush preset, and this is kind of a weird thing. So I'm just going to call it the dogwood leaf, and I'm going to click OK. So now it's a brush, and you can kind of see it's been preloaded there. But I want to, of course, probably do some additional things to it. So I'm going to open up my settings. Let me go to my brush. And we can see we have the thing loaded up. And I'm going to go to add some jitter. And again, this is kind of a little preview of it. Angle jitter, which is going to change it. So it does different angles as we go. And minimum diameter. Let's push that out. And again, we're getting a little preview down here of it. And let's do a little scatter. So it's kind of spreading it out a little bit on that. Now I'm going to make my brush smaller. And I'm going to go to a new layer here so you can actually see that brush being painted. Boom. And I'm going to give it a pretty color. And we're going to paint. So it's gray. And you're going, well, you click red. Well, we're in a grayscale picture now. So if I go to a new file, actually before that, let me save this. It's going to be the best way to do it. Okay. So when I'm happy with what I've done here, and I can just kind of preview, I know this is what it's going to do, but it's going to be in color. Hit the plus sign. And you want to include the tool settings. So whatever you have set up here, or potentially have set up here with the flow or opacity up top, will be included. Now, if you want it to stay a color like red, you can put include color. Otherwise, don't click that and it will go to whatever colors you have defaulted. And capture brush size and preset. What am I at? 75 now. Sure, that's okay. And we'll call this 1A just to make sure and click OK. Now I'm going to go to a new file. Let's open up a new document. Okay, and now I can paint with my brush, and I think it's preloaded already. Yes, it is. And you can see we're getting that leaf shape coming in. It's got that random. If I don't want that, I want just one leaf. You can come back here to my presets, turn all of that off, and I'm back to one leaf. And every time I click, I get a leaf. And let me scale that up. You can start to see that leaf is coming in with texture from what I scanned, right? So we get all of that photographic kind of lights and darks because it really is a photograph that was done there. Okay, so we're able to kind of create brushes out of anything. We'll go through, I'm gonna do it one more time for you guys because I think this is kind of important to work with. And I'm gonna open up a new file. Go. Leave. 1 second. I think I saved it. Where'd that file go? I know I downloaded it. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna resend it over. So I did it again. I did a bill. So someone said the video's freezing. Don't worry, we're going to be saving this so you'll be able to do it. Let's see if this is going to download. The computer is being slow. Everything's slow. So, and once you've saved it as a brush, it will be in your brushes. Okay, it kind of goes into the brush settings. So it'll save it as a brush file on your computer. So you don't have to kind of load it each time. But if you do have brushes that you've saved up, then you want to bring in, you can do that. Okay, that's not going to work. Sorry, I was going to do one more thing. So let me just take the second one thing I want to do is I'm going to take that hot air balloon that you guys can download, and I think I have it here. Yep. So this is a PNG, not a JPEG. So with a PNG, this has transparencies in it, but it's not black and white, right? It kind of looks black and white, but there's color. This is an RGB file, and I can look up top here, and it says RGB. So I'm going to need to convert this first into a black and white. So image mode, grayscale. Do I want to convert? Yes. Discard it. And now it's black and white. And again, I can come back in here and do a little bit of a brightness contrast. Maybe I want to darken it a little bit and pull up a little contrast. Again, I can get pretty dark with it, but I'm going to keep a little bit there. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to make it a brush. So I'm going to edit, define brush preset, and then hot air balloon. I'm just going to call it hot air balloon 1, and click OK. And you can kind of see it is a balloon. And I want to make adjustments to it. So I'm going to take my size down. I don't know when it's so big. Gonna make it a little bit bigger. 200 is good. And I'm gonna do a little jitter. So let me make a new file and we're gonna make some final adjustments here. New. And we still have the balloon loaded, so you can see it's already been saved, okay? But what I'm gonna do is make it kind of a second balloon, and I wanna do color, and I wanna do some jitter. So I'm gonna add the jitter in way up there. Like that. I'm gonna do the color, I want it to mix. And what's gonna happen is I can preview this. And you can kind of see it's kind of doing all these really kind of cool, funky colors, which is fun. And I want to pull it out a little bit. Do a little bit of a scatter. Do that jitter count there. Okay, so it's doing all these kind of crazy cool colors and this kind of background. And again, if I want it to be just one, just turn off the shape control and it's just going to give me one balloon, okay? Now it's doing different colors each time because my color dynamic is turned on. Okay, if I turn that off, it's just going to give me whatever my foreground color is. So if I switch to blue, it's going to give me blues. Okay, and you see it's kind of this, there's a transparency to it just because it has transparency. So if it was white, things start to show through. Okay, so whites are transparent, blacks or the color take on the color that you're picking. That makes sense. So everything is kind of adjustable with that. So, don't be afraid to do that. And once you're happy with what you've got, just simply click new and we're going to get that there. So I'm going to actually turn off all of that. I just want to get one brush. And again, it's going to paint as I go. And if I paint heavy, it makes that. But if I click once, it gives me that brush as one. And I can turn that on and make those adjustments. And then I can just hit plus, and we're going to just call this balloon 1A. Include the tool settings. I have really nothing there. Everything's kind of turned off except smoothing and texture. And it's there. So I can then load this up here. So here's my leaf that I did a while back. Let me turn this layer off. All right, here's that leaf. And then I can come up here again and go, I want the second balloon. Or maybe I want to select the first balloon, which is basically the same thing, just larger. Does that make sense? So I can keep variations of a brush. I can have other versions. Okay, so I can have balloon 1 and balloon 2. Okay, and I can make adjustments with the dynamics of that brush through the brush settings. Okay, and I can save them as such. Does that make sense on how to make a brush or create a brush? And like I said, it can be anything. Okay, it doesn't need to be just a splash of the brushes don't need to be just a splash of paint or a doodle. You can literally make anything. You could, and you can scan anything or bring a photograph in. I know people have done their signature as a brush, right? They need to do a lot of documents or whatever. They won't put their signature on stuff. Boom, they can just save it as a brush and paint it on where they need to put their signature.
I never thought about that. That's pretty cool, actually.
Sure, right? I mean,
It's really convenient.
it would be.
Yeah.
But it works well with logos and all that kind of stuff. So, if the company needs a lot of logo work done, you can obviously make that a brush also. You know, it makes some cool things. You can make some really cool backgrounds and textures. And again, you know, you play with the color dynamics of it. We'll make it smaller. And I'm going to give it a little bit of jitter. And I'm going to do a little scatter. Right. And you kind of do the, you know, you can do all kinds of really wild, crazy things with a brush there. So again, they're all kind of editable, and it's going to be something you're going to want to work with and play with. And you know, modify as you go. Okay, I think there's a lot of possibilities again with that. Just trying to see if there's anything else I want to show you guys. Anything else? I think that's pretty much most of what we want. Yeah, I think that's good. This is if you're using a tablet and a Wacom pencil or an Apple Pro mount pencil, whatever. Um, check this on and off. This will let you do pressure sensitive. It makes a difference when you're painting. Okay, so if you're like, it's not doing what I want, check your pressure sensitivity. That's this pencil and the bullseye kind of thing. And this does a flip stings, right? It'll make a symmetrical thing. So let me make a new layer for you guys. See, it's kind of doing kind of shapes. Okay, so that's up here by doing that. So again, you can pick a shape that you want. And let me go to my leaf, because that one's kind of cool. Right, and I can just do a circle, right? So it's already built into the circle. And it's putting them in a circle pattern. So now if I take my leaf one more time, and I'm going to go to my, I'm going to turn off the scatter. So it's just a leaf. It's painting the leaf in kind of a circle pattern. You know what? Let me go back to my brush here. These are kind of cool. Right, so you can do all kinds of really kind of cool, weird shapes. And again, you can add these to your pictures or your images that you want. And that's the tool up here, the symmetry tool. Okay, so there's a lot of things in there. And again, you can do these with brushes, and whether it be a traditional brush or something that you created there on that. All right, so we're good with that. I'm going to close that one for now. Close that. Any questions on the brushes? Make sense? Everybody kind of good? All right, so I'm going to open up that other picture. We had that Joshua tree picture that's on your site. I'm going to open that first. And what I want to do, obviously here, I want to clean this up a little bit. I've got a lot of dirt going on in here. My camera was extra dirty this day. Get me a brush. I'm just doing the healing brush, and I'm just going to go through. Now I'm just working off the base picture right now because I know I want to get those specks out, that dust and dirt out. I got a blue sky, so I know it's going to work out well. And I'm trying to get that out of the way first before I go do any kind of work on the photo. That way it's kind of cleaned up. Oh, look at all that dirt up there. Wow. I need to clean my camera. Again, just hold the shift or the space bar, gives me the hand and I can move around. When I undo it, it goes back to the tool that I was using. So I'm just cleaning this up real quick. And I would, always look at this stuff and see if there's anything that needs to be done before you start to do any kind of editing. Because once you start the editing, and then you have to go back and it just becomes a hassle. So in this case, I'm just cleaning up my base layer, which is the picture. And I think I got rid of most of it. It's hard to tell. My computer's dirty now too. Hard. And that's a big rock. How do I know? Because these are little people on the big rock. Okay, one up there, one up there, and the whole gaggle of people down there on the big rocks. There. So I just want to kind of get creative and just kind of play it a little bit here with this. Again, everything I'm doing here real quick, this should become second nature. And if anything I've been doing or do in the next 10 minutes is like, what did he just do? What kind of black magic was that? Tell me so I can go back over it. Okay. So I'm just making sure that we're all kind of on the same page with Photoshop before we start to transition over into Illustrator. Okay, so I've got the background image. I've cleaned it up and I'm happy. I'm going to, as a workflow, duplicate it. Thus, if I go too far or exaggerate or do something I shouldn't have done, I can have something to go back to. And I'm just going to play here just a little bit and just kind of go through some things that we can start to do. And I'm just looking here to see what I want to do on this particular one. Now, I just said select the sky, okay? And it did, right? It knew that was the sky and it did a pretty darn good mask, okay? I'm just gonna look over here by the Joshua tree. That's smooth. That's pretty, gets a little weird with the angles of the trees, but not too bad. Missing one little part in there, but not bad for one little select, because I'm just trying to figure out the isolation. So let's say I want to leave the sky alone right now, and I want to kind of play with the brightness contrast or of the stones and the trees. Okay, so what I would do here is go to select and inverse. So what you see now is the magic ants. It has selected just the sky. So if I do inverse, it now flips it back down to just the rocks and the trees. And this is where I could start to do my filters or effects. And I'm going to convert to a smart filter here. And I'm going to open up my camera raw filter, which I love. And I'm going to play with it a little bit. I'm going to just drop the exposure a little bit. Now it's doing everything, but when I get done, it's only going to, it should be doing just a certain area, I think, unless I lost my selection there. We'll check that in a second. Okay, so it did a smart filter, and we can see where it's built in. So right now, it's only doing it to the stones. It did not adjust the sky at all. Okay, so again, this is a way that we can kind of isolate out and make changes. Let's say we really love the sky, but we didn't want to change it. So this way, I'm changing the sky. not, I'm not changing the sky, I'm changing the rocks itself. Okay, so again, with a smart filter. And then again, this is, because it's a smart filter, I can double click on it. And come back in and make adjustments again. So like maybe I want it a little bit warmer. Can make that change. Again, you see it's making a change to the sky, but it really isn't. It's just doing it to the mask area. I'm gonna just bump it like crazy just so you can really see it. And you can see it only added it to the rocks, not to the sky itself. Okay, I'm gonna just delete that for now, just to get rid of it. That was the mask, and now we're back here. And I'm just gonna get rid of that smart filter. Boom, so we're back to the original. A couple other things we need to go through. I'm just looking here. Give me a second. We're good. I'm just double checking I haven't done something I've missed or should have gone over with you guys. And again, most of these things are kind of self-explanatory. The layer styles we've done, again, they're also down here. Fills with colors, adjustment layers, which is here. So these are a little different than these, okay? Simply because these are going to be editable later. Masking we've done. I'm not worried about 3D. Zoom in, zoom outs. We know this. This is, we've done guides. We've done the ruler. Don't worry about that. Help undo if you need. I think we're good. So let me just kind of add a, I'm just going to add a filter to this. Do color halftone. So get the kind of a halftones, colors. If I zoom in, we got those pixels that are happening. I don't know, it's kind of fun. All right, so that's there. You know, maybe I don't like it. Let me just get rid of that for a sec. All right, I think, you know what, this needs a balloon. So let me open up my balloon. And we're gonna add that on and we'll do some type and then we'll be good for a while. Here, hot air balloon. Again, I'm opening up this hot air balloon. I'm gonna Command A, which is select all. Command C, which is copy. Coming back here, I'm gonna paste it, Command V, and you can see I've got my hot air balloon. Because it was a PNG, it's got basically the background clipped out, okay, which works out nicely. Okay, now if I want to colorize it, I can. Remember, it is an RGB file, so it doesn't need to stay black and white as it is now. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do a, let's do solid color. Saturation. So hue saturation. Now, it's pretty much a monochromatic color. It's like sepia tones. If I pick colorize, it's going to colorize the balloon. And again, I'm hitting this, so it's selecting only the layer below. And we're going to just play with that. And let's get it to another color. Play with the red one. And I'm going to go a dark red, a little more saturated. And we're good. So this now, hue saturation is only affecting the layer below on the balloon. Okay. And I've got this balloon in there. And again, it's a adjustable there. And now I want to put some type. I'm going to scale a little bit. Command T is going to give me the transform. If I hold shift, remember it gets all weird. If I don't hold shift, it keeps it proportional. Okay, so for the old time Old Photoshop users were used to holding the shift. You have to kind of get rid of that. It was there, but it's not anymore. Holding the shift makes it distort. So Command T, and we're good. And then we're going to do a new layer of type. And I'm going to change the color. And let me check my character. Okay, that layer got messed up, so I'm just doing a new one. So in this case, I want the word hot air, and I'm going to use the word balloon, but I'm going to do them on two different layers, so I can have a little more control as I go. And I'm going to do another layer here and do balloon. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just duplicate that layer to be easier. That way I'm already at the same font. And that's what I'm going to call balloon. We're lining up like such. Again, you can see the pink come on. That's my little guides. That's telling me I'm lined up. If you don't have that, you can select those two layers, right? And then come up here to the adjustments, right? And alignments, and we can click the align here, click the align there. You can see it's shifting. So I do this most of the time. This way the computer is making the alignments. Even though that guy came on and looks pretty close, it might be off a little bit. But when I click those two layers and hit align, it will actually align them. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want the idea of maybe the balloon to be behind the rock. Okay, so this is where that select tool is going to come in. So I'm going to take this. Well, I'm going to just do a duplicate first, just again make sure. Selecting that, and I'm going to go select the sky. So selecting the sky on the background layer. I'm going to inverse. So now the rocks are only selected. Actually, I'm going to do it the other way. Command C. I'm going to inverse it. I want to take out the sky. So let me, I got the marching ants around the sky. I'm going to hit delete. And I took out the sky on this. And then I want to put the word balloons behind the mountain and turn on the background again. So what I did was I basically made a mask, or in this case, I just kind of selected the rocks and I just cut out the sky because I didn't need it anymore. So now the word balloon is going behind the rock. I just moved the layer down. And because I can read most of the letters, I think that probably works. I'm just going to deselect, and I'm going to now select my balloon. I'm going to make my balloon bigger. Command T. Just going to enlarge. Let's make it the same height or so as the hot air. We're close. I'm going to give myself a guide just so I can line that up. Drawing down a guide from the ruler. Going back to my balloon, and I'm going to scale it. So I'm just below. I want to kind of line it up. I can turn off my guides. Command semicolon just turns those off. And now I've got my work done, right? So I've got hot air balloon. I've got the hue saturation going on the balloon. Right, so it's kind of colorized, a little red is popping out. from the scenery. I've got the background element. I've cut out the rock. Basically, I cut out the sky, took that away. Now, I still want to bump the contrast a little bit, so I'm going to do a little adjustment layer here. Right down, contrast up a little bit. So it's only going below. Clicking the on off so I can basically see what I did. Okay, and we'll say that's okay. And I want to give it a little more. Do a little photo filter real quick. And we're going to keep it warm. Bust that up there. At this point, it's activating everything, but you see the word air doesn't change color because it's going over the word B. Okay. Now, if I turn it again just to the layer below, it's only affecting now the rocks and the trees, not the whole background. I'll click that there. So I've got these layers on top. I think we're pretty good, right? So now I can save this to be utilized on websites or a brochure or magazine or anything like that. Again, you can see where we're dealing with layers. We're letting this evolve. We're changing as we go, right? I mean, things are not going to be exactly as we thought as we start to do things like, well, that didn't work or that did work. And we're able to make these adjustments quite quickly. Okay. So, you know, don't be afraid to experiment as you're working to create these effects. Okay. Hold on one second, guys. All right. All right, questions on what we just did. Again, it's kind of a very, very quick Photoshop review. I hope everybody here can do that. If you're having problems with anything I just kind of did, let me know so we can, you know, go back over it, or I can, you know, spend some time with you to answer your questions. So, questions on anything that we've just kind of covered in the last hour, 45 minutes?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else? Everybody okay? Let's check in. Make sense?
I want to just bring up in case you guys need like a reminder on how to how to make a brush out of the image. I'm writing a small instruction thing so that people can just refer to it.
Cool.
You know, just in case you need it.
Nice. All right, other questions. So we have our books. We've got some. Let me get that file up. And 1 second here. I'm just going to we'll just kind of quickly go through some of them, looking at them from my email. I think that'll work fine.
I said mine 3 times on accident.
What's that? I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
I said mine 3 times on accident.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. So we'll start where we're at. I think we're here. Color. Some of these came in through like PSD, whatever. So I had a. Did we save that? We did save that one already. I did Aaron's last week. I'm just trying to quickly look at them. I will save them all onto a folder and look at them separately later. We'll let that download. We have Riley. We'll start with the Gatsby. Works well. Again, watch. I'm one that doesn't like to get too much leading. That's just my preference. So I think I would watch and maybe bring the leading tighter a little bit, and then watch your strokes. I think you want to have the words on top. My connection's getting weak. So I know you did the drawing on top, but I think you would want to erase that so the letter forms are coming on top, and the same thing with the award down here. You'll want that someplace where it's not being overdone by the drawings and such you've added to the book cover. Again, Smithsonian. I'm assuming Smithsonian is just the author of this. Nice, dramatic. Play with the contrast a little bit. I think like some of the planets are getting lost a little bit. I think you can pull out a little bit more color there with that. And then I'm assuming space is the title. Smithsonian is going to be more of the author. I would probably flip those. So from a hierarchy standpoint, the word space is a little bit larger than the word Smithsonian. On that, again, we're just quickly going through. And then let's see what else we got up here. The little prints. Cool, nice illustration. We've got stars and such behind. There's kind of a weird empty space in here. So right between the plane and kind of the castle, maybe it's a little more clouds or such to kind of balance it out. My eye is getting definitely drawn over here to the left side a little bit. So I think, we want to balance it out. So I think a little bit of maybe a little bit more clouds behind this area between the plane and the castle will draw this back over and kind of balance it out. But it, nicely done. Topography looks good. Illustration is good. Did you draw this? Nelson, did you draw it? Or did you find this? You can unmute. Good.
Which one?
Did you draw this or did you find this?
Draw it.
You drew it. Did you really?
Yeah.
Nice job, man. Dude, you're gonna kill it next week when we start doing Illustrator. That's awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Catcher in the Rye. Nice. Again, did you draw? Who did this? Cool, me. Justin, did you draw this? Are you here? Not even here. You off someplace? Sleeping.
Actually, Justine is here.
Justine, are you here?
Yeah, she is here.
Is this your painting here?
She found images online.
Found images online. Okay. I got that. Okay. No, there's something wrong with that, right? I mean, that's what we do. That's what designers do. So, but it's cool. Very cool. I think it works really well. I think just from a typographical, watch this Y. It's getting a little close to the sky. I think you got a little bit of breathing room. You could pull this all up a little bit. Because I like the space between the picture and the author down here. It's nice. Publishing, there's something over here just kind of getting distracting. So I don't know if we need the word publishing. Again, we typically find that on the spine, and so we don't have to put that on the cover. But nice. Very cool. It's a great illustration. And then we have Harry Potter. And let me just get this moved over. It's good. I think, now that we've gone over brushes a little more, maybe make this a little more like clouds or the smoke kind of thing coming up from the spell that's being cast here. And I would kind of maybe smooth it off a little bit. And I think you can probably blend out and bring in, so the characters here, maybe bring in some more of this kind of definition behind it. So again, I think it's just kind of blending the picture a little bit better, but the overall positioning is fine. And then pull down her name a little bit. It's just kind of fighting with the cauldron or the spell pot. I don't know. What do I know? My kids reading Harry Potter and I haven't. So just bring that down, right? The letters are just getting lost here a little bit with the cauldron, the pot, the spell thing here. And we've got the room, so I think that would work. But cool. I love the colors. Really cool. Good job. And we have the twins.
It's actually called the twin. I just didn't mean to put the S.
Oh, okay, sub twin instead of the twin. Okay, that's fine. Either way. Is there a reason there's so much gap between the word "the" and the word "twin"?
Well, it's I've been trying to do it just like in my I've been trying to do it just like in the book cover. Here, I'll show you what it actually looks like. Hold on. It looks like this.
Okay. Well, that doesn't look like it's as much gap. Reason I didn't know if it was from an artistic standpoint, you're trying to pull those two apart. So I think I would tighten it just a little bit. I get the gap, and again, I don't know the story, but there's something going on here where is it like two twins that were separated or something along those lines?
Well, yeah, I
Story
guess
about.
it could. Well, yeah, it's definitely what the story's about. You see, two sisters, they're twins, were separated because their parents were divorced, and a tragic story. The twins' mom passed away in an accident, which is sad, I know.
Mhm.
And there is this twin called Ivy, and she feels bad for her twin sister Iris, and then she felt something really weird for her twin. She's not usually her twin that she knows in the past,
Okay.
and I'm still reading it to
Okay.
see what happens.
So that kind of makes sense from an artistic standpoint that there is some of that separation from because they really were separated. So it makes them visual. I would just pull in a little bit. The main reason is you're getting a little close to the edges. And we all, as designers, we always worry if we get too close to the edge, something might get cut off a little bit. So just pull it in a little bit, but I think we're going on pretty good. Pretty good job of clipping. Watch the edges. You can see a little bit of that kind of white halo going on. So we just want to make sure that mask is kind of a little bit tighter to get rid of that. And that's just going to come, again, with the resolution of the picture and such. But the scissors look really good. They look clipped out pretty good. So just a little bit on the leaves, kind of give it that, they call it the halo kind of a thing, but it's good. The colors are good. It's very dramatic. If it's sitting on the shelf, you're going to see it. And that's kind of what we're trying to do as a designer.
Thanks.
Harry again. There you are again. East of Eden. No, again, watch the balance, right? Everything is always, in this case, you're looking at everything's on the left. So, and again, we want the tree, but maybe if the tree was a little darker, that would kind of balance it. But right now it's so light on the right and everything's kind of heavy, right? So we've got the East of Eden, we've got this is nice, kind of the O is becoming the compass rose, Steinbeck, and we've got the image here. So just watch the balance. It's feeling very left heavy, but the elements are all there.
Okay.
That makes sense. And I think maybe even the tree, I would extend it all the way out and just let the tree go off. Right? You don't need to kind of stop it. Just let it go off the page, kind of thing.
Great idea. Yeah, I definitely got the layers saved. So like you said, it's easy to go back and make an adjustment.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen, right? You're going to look at it and go, yeah, and that's what we want to do. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Good job.
Thank you. Thank
We got the Trojan War. All right. So I'm assuming you kind of composited all these items together. Is that a
Yes,
fair guess? Okay. Nice job. Looks good.
thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of see all these gaps right there. I didn't. I took out too much. That's why there's gaps. So I couldn't go back because I didn't want to be late
Okay.
and fix it. Those behind her, all these
Okay.
the warriors and the kissing, the couple.
Yes.
It's I took out too much. I didn't want to go back because I didn't.
Okay.
Be
And I'll tell
late.
everybody, if you want to go back and make adjustments and submit it again, please do. It'll take me a few days to get everything together, and people are still turning stuff in and get things created. But honestly, if you've got 6 weeks from now, you're like, oh God, I really want to change, just change and send it. That is part of design, is being able to go back and make changes literally until we get printed or put up online or whatever it's going to be. So, I want you guys, as you get better and more creative, to feel free. You can go back and change, and again, feel free, do it and resubmit. So it's good. It's nice.
Thank you.
All right, we got up here, tails of the sparrow. It's funny, most times we don't have a by, we just put the name. So you can scratch off the by on this. And then again, I would get rid of the leading, again, that gap between the lines. So that'll kind of tighten it up, and it makes it read a little bit better. We've got the thread that spins down, and I'm just looking. I'm trying to see if we can maybe you can take that thread and make it look like it's going in and out of the items, right? What if it went behind, this castle tower, or what if it went, in front of a couple letters? Does that make sense? So, because thread is kind of this thing, it's like intertwining. Can we, potentially take that thread and intertwine it into the art itself? And I think you could. It's really just kind of doing a little bit of masking to get rid of some of that. And we've got the needle here. We've got the little mouse. What is very nice about the thread is it leads us down, right? So it's a really nice visual metaphor that's taking us on this journey throughout the whole thing. And, I like the background texture. It looks like, crinkled, crumpled brown paper kind of layered behind there. So really nicely done. Really kind of pulling it all together. So good. And I got the better version, so don't worry. How big was your file, just so you know? It was only 3 megs. Yeah, it was nothing. Don't worry about it. You're fine. And then we've got, this was Aaron's back here. We've got the spine. Got the cover. Nice. Yeah, this I think definitely works better down here from a typographic standpoint. Good job. And then we've got the back. Yeah. Fake parse code. Good job. Good job. Yeah, the cover, you got a nice pop going on now. The contrast is better. And the kind of glow that you're working here behind the type is making it really pop out. And you move it down a little bit from the train. Good. Nice. Good job, man. Good job. All right. So if you haven't turned it in, no worries, right? Just get it to me. I'm not grading them today, and you can find out. I'm not going to take off points. I want you guys to do the work. Okay. So, life happens to all of us, and you had a good week and you got to turn it in on time. Next week you might not because something else came up. Whatever. I want you to do the work because that's how we're going to learn this stuff. Okay. So make sure that you're, getting the stuff in, but if you got to turn them in late, turn them in late. Not turning it in, you didn't learn anything as far as I'm concerned, right? So I want to see the work. I want you to get it turned in. And even if it's late, that's fine. I'm not gonna take off points for being late at this point. Okay, because I think we can, you know what happens if you don't turn things in, right? You get a 0. I'm not giving zeros out because you didn't want to do it. So just do the work, get it to me, and we'll go for there. All right. And if I didn't shoot you an email back, that means I probably didn't get your file. So please resend it. I think I got everybody email back today. And I'll start going through and getting those in the grade book and all that kind of stuff. But everything's looking good, guys. I mean, it's really just a matter of getting in there and doing it. And like I said, we're going to start moving on to Illustrator. Questions about the album cover? That's going to be due a week from today. The album covers, I should say. There's 2, plural. Questions about that project? That makes sense to everybody? What do you want in the copyright information? Copyright typically is the date, and it's, so you'll have the C in a circle, and then the year. So it'd be copyright 2021, and then it's typically the name, and it's, you know, it could be the band, so it would be, you know, Billy Joel, you know, Beyonce, whatever it's going to be, type of thing. And then we'll typically also find down there any other kind of legal, if there's additional copyright holders, probably not. The band, I mean what's the word? The publisher, is that right? We're talking books of publishers, records. It's not the publisher. Who's the guy? Who's the company that puts the records out? It's not distributors. Somebody knows. What's it called? God, I had it on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. Somebody typed it out earlier. Legal, yeah, copyright. It's usually at the bottom most times. Could be along the other edge. Producer, yeah, there you go. See, I knew somebody knew it. See, no, I knew there was a word and I couldn't think of it. So thank you, producer. Do we have to do the final part of the book? No, just the cover. If you wanted to, you know, I put it in the spine or the back. If you were more advanced, you were trying, you know, give you a little bit of extra challenge. But no, if you want to do it, by all means, feel free. But you know, we're looking at the cover for this project. The albums will be the front and the backs. Copyright New Duke Nukem, Big Band Bookstore. Yeah, something basically, yeah, pretty close to that. Does that make sense? And again, feel free to send them over. Now, album covers. Yeah, so we got the 2, right? One is going to be one of your favorite bands, and the second is going to be mom, grandma, somebody, right? I want you to interview somebody, right, and kind of talk to them. What's their band? What do they like about the band? Maybe their favorite songs. And again, we're making this album up, but you know, you can use their influences, what they're talking to you about, right? I mean, I love, you know, somebody go, I love this song and this is why, and feel free to bring that in. You know, this song reminds them of stuff, and you know, and feel free to bring in that kind of photography, right? I mean, this, I don't know, we'll say it's grandma's song, and grandma's song, why she like it? Well, it was the first song that she and grandpa danced to. If you want to put grandma and grandpa on the album cover, that's perfectly fine. That makes sense. I mean, it's okay to use your own art, your own design, your own kind of illustrations. I mean, it doesn't need to be literally. We're not trying to duplicate an existing cover. We're making up a new one. Okay, and again, we're just kind of composing the album as to whatever songs you would put on it. Okay, so feel free to be creative there. You know, because that's what I want. I want you guys to be creative. That's why you're taking this class. That's why you're here. That's why you're, you know, starting this study of this kind of thing, is to be creative. That makes sense? So don't let me slow you down from creativity. All right, other questions? All right, so I'm going to stop the record.